What is up? We're here with, is that first place
I guess so.
at the CM case tournament?
Yes, sir.
Who are you? What'd you play?
I'm James, fellow from chat Yugioh, and I played a little deck that I honestly never thought I'd get to play on paper in Crystrons today.
Dude, deck's sick.
Honestly, it is. Like, I've just been, like, there's a lot of turn skippy cards that are a little bit hard for everything to play around. Crystron's no different from that, but I like it because for the smaller hand traps that Nibiru randomly as well, you're just able to just roll with the punches with them, set up for next turn, and then just keep on swinging after that initial gap out.
Well, dude, I'm telling you, this is the deck that nobody wanted to play against today. Like, everybody was terrified of it. So, I'm excited to see it.
I think it might
Literally.
be. I'm not sure.
100%. Well, I'm excited to see it. Let's see it.
All right, let's go for it. So we're on 41 cards. I wanted to really do some testing in for YCS Orlando to see what I liked. And I do like this list, but I'll share some feedback as we come across it. For our level 5 guys, we're playing 3 copies of Sulfefnir and Sulfador.
Okay.
It's just odd. Like, these are really great extenders for at any point in the game. And then 5 is just like the comfy number, so to speak.
Makes
like
sense.
for your normal combo and then have the insulation with another card later down the line, 5 is a very safe number to be at.
Okay.
And after that, we've got triple copies of Crystron Smyger. He lets you search for your Crystron spells and traps. Very good. Dice Burn lets you search for monsters. Prassiordal lets you summon from hand. He's more of a tech choice, I guess, from a little bit of research I've done. He comes up with some setups, and if you just have everything, he helps you combo into the sun a lot better. And then also for our tuners, we have Tristaros, 2 copies, and 1 copy of Citri.
Okay.
These guys are really nice because they almost make your end board look deceptive because you just have 1 small 2-star tuner and then you play on the opponent's turn for a lot of fun stuff that comes later. After that, Crystron 2 does have a lot of room for like a supplementary non-engine. So what I ended up picking for mine was 3 copies of Speedroid Terratop
Yes,
and Taco Tom
sir.
board. You're able to just make Cherubini with these, or Little Knight going second. That didn't come up, but just send Smyger this turn, and you're off to the races. And I also played 1 copy of Regulus. You can search him with a couple of other tech choices later in the list. I ended up never having to do that throughout the tournament. There were a couple of times where I hard opened them, and it was nice to have. Crystron Inclusion, 3 copies of that. It's tanky, it's tidying, Fogblade 2 if that's more your jam. It's battle protection, card is ridiculous, coolish, gets Smyger, gets full combo. Then my favorite part of the deck is honestly Crystron Cluster. If you've heard anything about my escapades for like the past 2 years or so, I've played nothing but Bystials. This is just branded Beast from my branded Regain, and I
Fair.
love it. But that does it for the engine, so we'll stick these away, and we'll go for the non-engine next.
Sounds like a plan.
For the non-engine, it was a little bit weird. Part of why I picked the Speedroid build as well was to play more non-engine. So 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 2 copies of Ghost Spell. Came up a lot against Mouse today, including in finals.
That was really good.
I mess with it a lot. I love Bell. Then it was a little bit of indecisiveness. 2 copies of Droll and Nibiru. They're both very good at what they do, but you don't always want to see them, and not always in multiples. So
I agree.
they're pretty strong. But probably my favorite staple I played was Forbidden Droplet.
Yes.
Crystron is probably the best deck right now that can like use Droplet to the fullest. You can pitch your entire hand, negate a whole field, and then play out of the graveyard.
Yeah.
Make a board while chipping away at your opponents, and then you have the crazy grind game that we talked about, the cluster. Called by the Grave, 2 Talents, and then 3 Imperms to round off the 41 cards. So we'll stick these away, and then
Beautiful.
we'll go ahead and pull up the extra deck.
Let's see it.
For the Crystrons in the extra deck, we've got Quarion Gandrax. He's very similar to either Chen Ying or Trishula is how I think about him.
Okay.
Just by banishing 3 monsters from opponent's field or graveyard on summon. You make him on the opponent's turn and you just wreck stuff.
Fair.
If he's able to pop off, you can wipe out Fiendsmith's like Requiem, Lacrimut, and an Engraver all in one go. Very strong, very good part of the deck. 2 copies of Elasceletus. I like him. He adds stuff from Grave or Banish back. He floats. He combos well with Tristaros because you get to pop and just combo even more. And he makes your opponent's board a little bit weaker, which helps in simplified game states. Dawn Dragster, you get locked into Machine Synchros and slash or rather during your combo at some points, and he's probably the best one generally. Just Spell Trap, Negate, Pierces, good guy. Samurai Destroyer, great at insulating against Nibiru, good for also if you played against something with like funny battle phase effects, like either Chandra or Yubel, I guess. It comes up there too. but Samurai Destroyer is cool.
He also floats
He does float, so
into a machine.
he does. We also have Chunbara. He
Yep.
helps you go for OTKs just by, on his own, representing 4,600 piercing damage. And technically, if like one of your Speedroids gets banished somehow with like a white binder or what have you, he technically adds it back. So free card is pretty nice. Then from there, we have River Stormer. He would be what searches Regulus, but he never came up. Then Nova, Infinity, and Invoke Makaba.
Yep.
So I won't say exactly where, but you got to be really careful about where you use your hand traps against Crystron, because this might be a little bit popular.
Yeah.
Typhon, just nice. Little Knight, just nice. Cherubini to go with the Crystrons, and then Clockwork Knight, because sometimes you just need to put a level 3 monster in the graveyard. But that does it for the extra deck.
Let's see that spicy side.
There's a little bit of spice to it. There's some cards I wanted to test, and I think that I would just be able to make better room with using more staples. Like I know that Solemns are something I wanted to try. But for the sideboard, we have 3 copies of Lancia, just too good to not play. 2 copies of Fuelos. If you have Mulch Armies, you play them. I'm fortunate to have 2, so we play the 2. Triple copies of Thrust. I really like just being able to flex this for board breakers, or if I need Engine, Foolish Burial is my whole deck. Ultimate Slayer, last minute inclusion. It put in a lot of work just clearing a detonator, not letting the Twins of the Eclipse float. It was very nice. Duster, always good to have a back row out. Dimensional Barrier and Artifact Sanctum to get off of Thrust. Then something that I'm probably going to end up cutting is Rivalry of Warlords and Clockwork Knight. You can technically use this to search Regulus, and you can, if you open up Rivalry, you can brute force your way to Clockwork Knight via Clockwork K Knight, the Link monster, and Crystron Inclusion, but it never came up, but it seems pretty okay. Just with everyone splashing Bestials and Fiendsmith and having all types of everything in their decks nowadays. Yeah. But that does it for the 41 cards.
Well, congratulations, man. I hope that we see you in Orlando topping. I've heard that it's going to be your first YZS top.
We're going to do our best to.
Yes, sir. Well, any shout-outs before we go?
I guess just my typical shout-outs. Shout out to my chat Yugioh crew, particularly my buddies I rode up with. Corey over here, Zach and Zephyr, who were helping crack open some prizing for us.
Yes, sir.
Most everyone back in chat and our surrounding environs. And my brothers, who I yap to infinitely about this game, even though it sounds like Greek to them.
I know the feeling, man. Well, congratulations. I want to say before we go, too, this wasn't like a small tournament. Like, there were 38 people here, but it was 6 rounds of Swiss, and then he played 3 rounds of Top Cut. So, like, this was a long event, and this deck, it looks like, performed really well.
It did. There's definitely... It did what I wanted it to do, and with the consistency the Speedroids added, I was able to do the Crystron thing very consistently.
Yeah.
And I think the only, like, hard trick I ever had was in quarterfinals, where I'd open up just 4 staples and Taki Tomborg, but staples get you there, we drew into playable, and then we just wrote it out from there.
Hey, man. Congratulations. Shout out to CM for hosting this event, and we'll see you in Orlando.
Yep. See you then.